Okay, this is Taylor with quiz number 2. This is my code for it. I'm just going to run it real quick through here. Ooh, lots of numbers. And let's go here. Okay, so starting with the first question, to find the sum of the even integers from 140 to 581 using the sum accumulator, for loop, and a range statement. First, I initialize the sum accumulator. I set it to 0. And then I set the range, which is between the 140 and the 581. I put 2 here so it skips through and goes from 140 to 142, 144, and so on. And then that number, each time it passes through the loop, it is added to the sum accumulator, which I then exit the loop and then print the statement to show the sum of all the even numbers, which is this number right here, 79,560. And then I check my answer, reinitializing the sum accumulator so it doesn't take it from this first set right here. I copy the range statement, and then I copy the updating the sum accumulator, but this time I print the sum accumulator each time, so you can check 140 plus 142 is 282, 282 plus 144 is 426, and so on and so forth. And then for the second question, solicit 4 numbers from a user and print out the sum of the squares of those numbers. And these are the numbers to use. One of these is a float, so I wanted to make sure I floated my input. So first I initialize the sum accumulator, and then because it's asking for 4 numbers, I set the range to 4, so it would go through here 4 times. And then the number is, because I'm going to solicit the numbers from user, I need to use the input statement where they'll enter the number, and then I need to float it because when they enter it, it is a string. And then I want to find the square of each number that comes through here, and then add that square to the sum accumulator. So the answer would then be, let me scroll down. Okay, see, it's asking for my first number. So 7, 35, 221, and 7654.3. Okay, and then it tells me the sum of the squares of the 4 numbers is this big funny number right here. And then I check my answer similar to how I checked it in the first problem, except this time I'm going to print each square that comes through here and then add it to my sum accumulator at the end. So it's asking me again, so 7, square of 7 is 49, and then shows me the square of 35, square of 221, and the 7654.3. Which gives me my total again, and then it shows me each individual square, so I can add those together and it comes up with that number. And then for the third question, I need to find the sum of these numbers that are alternating, starting with 1 minus 1/3 plus 1/5, so on and so forth, for a total of 40 different times. And then round the function to 4 decimal points. So first I'm going to reinitialize the sum accumulator again, and then I'm also going to initialize a denominator starting with 1, because my first number is 1, 1 over 1 is 1, and then also because you can't divide by 0. And then I set up my loop for 40 terms, and in order to alternate between a positive and then a negative number, I'm taking -1, squaring it to whatever the number is, and then divided by my denominator. And then each time it loops through that, because we're skipping numbers here and we're just doing odd denominators, I'm going to update the denominator by 2. Then I'm going to take my number that I got after this first equation here, and I'm going to add that to the sum accumulator. Then for printing out the total after the 40 terms, I want to round my total by 4 decimal points. So I put my sum accumulator here, with a 4 separated by a comma. And that gives me this number right here, 0.7791. And then similar to the other questions, for checking my answer, I decided to print out the individual numbers so it shows me that I am adding and subtracting the proper ones, starting with 1, minus 1/3, plus 1/5, minus 1/7, and so on and so forth. And I also rounded each of those numbers as well, so that would be easier to see. And that is my quiz.